We are back exclusively with New York Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who is running unopposed to become the leader of the Democrats in the House. Congressman, thanks so much for staying with us. What is your relationship like with your Republican counterpart, Kevin McCarthy, who wants to be the Speaker? When was the last time you spoke with him?
I haven't had a conversation with Leader McCarthy recently. I do have, I think, a much warmer relationship with Steve Scalise. Look forward to working whenever and wherever possible, however, Jake, with the entire House Republican Conference and the leadership team to find common ground to get things done for everyday Americans to make progress. But of course, we will fiercely and vigorously oppose any attempts at Republican overreach and any Republican extremism. And I'm hopeful that the Republican leadership will take lessons away from the rejection of extremism by the American people all across the land and not double and triple down on it in the next Congress.
Do you think he's fit to be the next leader, Kevin McCarthy, the next leader of the Republicans? You've had some harsh words for him, saying it's impossible to take him seriously. And when people ask you about Kevin McCarthy, you say, Kevin who? Do you think he's fit to be Speaker of the House?
Well, that's a decision ultimately that the House Republican Conference is going to have to make. He does seem to be struggling to get to 218. Let's see what happens on January 3rd.
There is going to be, because of the narrow majority that House Republicans are going to have, the far right wing, the MAGA caucus, is going to be empowered and emboldened. It's going to make it tougher for McCarthy to govern as Speaker if he does, in fact, become Speaker. If Kevin McCarthy needs votes to pass essential legislation, such as keeping the government open or raising the debt limit, will Democrats be willing to help him if the Freedom Caucus folks, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, refuse to participate?
Well, it seems to me that that's a case-by-case basis, but Democrats have always been willing to lean in on making sure that we fully fund the government, and Democrats have always been willing to lean in and making sure that we meet our nation's obligations and do not default on our debt for the first time in American history. I think it's also important to point out, Jake, that we have consistently fought against extremism on the Republican side, including when it manifested itself often during the former president's tenure, while at the same time being able to find common ground to make progress for the American people. We did it with criminal justice reform. I was delighted to be involved personally in trying to negotiate historic criminal justice reform with the Trump administration, working with my colleague, former Republican Congressman Doug Collins from Georgia. Certainly, Speaker Pelosi led the effort to make sure that we could arrive at an agreement around the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement reform, the new NAFTA, in a way that benefited working families, organized labor, and people from the heartland and throughout the country. And we consistently have found common ground, even with some of the most recent legislative victories during this current Congress. I hope that that's a record that we can build upon moving forward.
House Republicans announced this week their oversight plans, which include taking a look at the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the origins of COVID, the FBI search at Mar-a-Lago. I can see that there could be, theoretically, legitimate oversight questions on each of those topics that could be asked. Will House Democrats participate in these investigations in good faith, or do you see it as your role to defend the Biden administration?
Well, we will absolutely defend the Biden administration and his track record of success if it comes under assault by people attempting to politicize our governmental responsibilities, without question. And I expect that we will strongly and vigorously be involved in pushing back against any effort at overreach by the extreme MAGA Republican wing of the House Republican Conference. At the same time, we're going to continue to try to find common ground legislatively whenever possible. I think that the time for politics ends in the immediate aftermath of a campaign, and there has to be some space to govern. That's what the American people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, people in the North, the South, the East, the West, the Midwest, want to see happen. Democrats are willing to lean into that regard. I'm hopeful that my Republican colleagues will join us.
Lastly, sir, Elon Musk reinstated Donald Trump to Twitter yesterday. Just to remind folks at home, Trump wasn't banned for mean tweets. He was banned because he used the platform to incite a violent insurrection on the Capitol. What's your reaction to Trump being reinstated on Twitter?
You know, I have no reaction at this point in time to anything that Elon Musk or Donald Trump does, particularly as it relates to social media. I am going to continue to try to lean into the principles of equal protection under the law, liberty and justice for all, government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and build upon the amazing progress that House Democrats have brought to bear in partnership with Senate Democrats and President Biden, and continue to push for American exceptionalism throughout the country.
All right, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York, and likely the next leader of House Democrats. It would be a historic moment. Congressman, congratulations ahead of time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jake.